Okay, my name is Mikkel Martin, and I did this presentation with Emily and Kaylin, and we are talking about domestic abuse. We realize that this is such an important topic, and we want to make sure that you guys, as a community and as a group, understand domestic abuse and how to recognize it. We also understand that with COVID-19, there's been a lot more domestic abuse going on, and we hope to educate you guys to be able to understand and recognize it a little more. So, first, we want to cover what is domestic abuse. According to Smith and Siegel, domestic abuse is an attempt to control or dominate the person you are in a relationship with or married to. I really liked this definition because it explains really well what domestic abuse is. If you are being controlled or dominated with whoever you are in a relationship with, then you are in a domestic or an abusive relationship. Anyone can be affected by domestic abuse, and that goes for males as well. I think we sometimes overlook that, but I mean, it does happen more with females, but it can affect anyone. It can affect your neighbors, a coworker. Abusers use fear, guilt, shame, and intimidation. And like I mentioned before, domestic violence and COVID-19, we've seen a lot more increase. People or couples or family have been forced to isolate with their abusers, which has made more of an increase of abuse, and they have seen that in the reports as well. So, different types of abuse that we will go over is emotional, physical, and sexual. So, the first one we'll start with is emotional. So, emotional abuse includes verbal abuse, so the use of words, kind of putting people down, the attempt to scare, belittle, isolate, and control. Emotional abuse also includes the action of decreasing self-worth of somebody else and also independence, making them feel like, making the victim feel like they need to be dependent on the abuser. Emotional abuse is often overlooked. So oftentimes people think domestic abuse has more to deal with like the bruises, the black eyes, those type of things. But emotional abuse is also part of domestic abuse and is also a scary thing. Staying in an abusive relationship affects physical and mental health. So that includes people who are in an abusive relationship can experience symptoms of chronic pain, depression, and anxiety. Those are painful things for people who are victims, and it's sad that emotional abuse can make that happen. Emotional abuse is real and damaging. Like I said, it's often overlooked. We need to recognize how serious it can be and the trauma that people will carry throughout their lifetime. So the next thing we're going to talk about is how you guys can recognize emotional abuse, whether it's in your own relationship or people around you. So that these are types of things that an abuser might be doing to you. So these are things to think about. Is my spouse or the person I'm in a relationship with doing this to me? They want to be with you constantly and have constant contact and have all your information. Where are you going? What are you doing? Who are you with? They get jealous and accused of cheating often. Prevents relationships with family or friends. They get angry in a way that is frightening. You're scared. You'll do anything so that they don't get angry. They will call you names, threaten to harm self when upset. So maybe they say, I'm going to go kill myself if you don't do this or if you don't stay with me. Humiliates you in front of others. Prevents you from going to the doctor and seeking outside treatment. They decide things for you, like what to wear or what to eat. So that was from Office on Women's Health, and those are things that they listed in ways to recognize emotional abuse. The next one we're going to talk about is physical abuse. So physical abuse is any type of physical aggressive behavior. So that involves the punching, the shoving, the hitting, stuff like that. Withholding physical needs like food, money, and sleep, that also falls under physical abuse. And that is like the baseline of the pyramid. Those are necessities, and withholding those is very much a type of abuse. Threatening to injure pets or kids in addition to the victim, which is also very damaging, especially for the kids as they grow up. They feel like that's okay, and they continue the cycle. Holding the victim hostage or in any way against their will. Excuse me. Or destroying property around the victim. So not just themselves, but also the things that they own and stuff like that. Now we're going to talk about recognizing physical abuse. So bruising, black eyes, broken bones, open cuts, wounds in various stages of healing. That's a big one because that means it happens frequently and throughout the weeks or months or such like that. The abuser does not allow the victim to be left alone. They feel like they always need to be around them, especially because the victim might tell someone or not explain about a bruise away appropriately. The victim has a sudden change in behavior when the abuser is around. So they act differently, probably a little more uptight, a little more tense. Broken glasses, torn clothes around the house, dehydration, malnutrition. That one can be very scary. Health problems or wounds that have been left untreated. And like I said, a lot of times these abusers prevent them from going to get medical treatment, so they often don't get taken care of appropriately. All right, so the last type of domestic abuse that we're going to talk about is sexual abuse. So adolescents, age 12 to 17, are at an increased risk for sexual abuse. I found that very interesting, and I hope that we can continue to educate our kids and those around us about sexual abuse, and also for ourselves, right? And think about ourselves and see if we're a victim of that. Gender, socioeconomic status, hostile home environments, and detached parenting styles have been identified as risk factors for sexual abuse. So I guess kind of think about those and kind of identify those as risk factors. And if you know someone who's experienced these, just maybe be on the alert, or if you're on it yourself. Pornography myths lead people to think rape culture is okay. I think this is a huge one. I see it all the time, how pornography makes it seem okay that sexually hurting someone or raping them is okay. In reality, it's not. And I think the viewers start to believe that it is okay, and that's when they start doing it themselves. So like I said, it's a continual cycle. They just engage in it, and it gets worse and worse. Individuals' definition of rape varies between unacknowledged and acknowledged victims. Acknowledgement leads to shame and self-blame. I find this very sad. Well, if you're a victim at least. And it's sad that it is acknowledged and acknowledged. So I don't know. It's just a difficult cycle there too. Ultimately, sexual abuse is difficult to define because of the objectification and varying opinions, but is serious and has lasting effects. And I am glad that Emily put this in this PowerPoint because it is a very objective thing. And I hope that doesn't scare people, but it's kind of has a bad stigma. But I want you guys to understand that seeking the right authority and then the right help can lead you to get serious help, and the serious help you need. Like going to your doctors and such like that. They will believe you and advocate for you. And I think that's something very important to understand, that there are ways to seek help. So recognizing sexual abuse. So if you feel these things, you could possibly be in a relationship with sexual abuse or such. So don't often seek for help, feeling withdrawn, have PTSD, panic attacks, sleep problems, medically unexplained problems, but it is treated with cognitive processing therapy, or eye movement reprocessing and desensitization. So that's also involved with something that you can look for with recognizing sexual abuse. And here are our references. And I just want to end by saying that domestic abuse is real, especially during these times, and we want everyone to feel safe. By going to the right authority, that is the best thing to do, as in your police officers and doctors and nurses. We want you guys to get the help that you need to be able to recognize what domestic abuse is, and also how to look into it with friends and family. And it's important to stop that cycle and help others get the help that they need. I hope you guys were able to learn some, and I hope this helps you. Thanks.